on a call with an agent up in the Poconos. So shareholder, Sim had some questions, which relates to, equity and et cetera. So my job is I'm the core services director. So for the last 9 years, I've built a title company within the 10 Keller Williams market centers that Mike Campo originally had. So Keystone Premier Settlement Services, we call it KPSS. So that's our title company. It's been up and running for 9 years. Just to give you a kind of an overview is it's mostly Pennsylvania. So we have like Allentown, Bethlehem, up in the Poconos, and then we have an office in Clinton, which where Greg came from. So that's our Jersey location right now. So I live in South Jersey, all the way down from you guys, like exit 2 off the turnpike. So I'm like almost in Delaware. So in my area in New Jersey, we don't use attorneys. So the title companies do the closings. It makes it nice and easy, very uncomplicated when the attorneys are involved. So I know in your area, the attorneys do it. So it's a little bit of a blend, and that's what happens in Clinton as well too, is the attorneys are involved. And that's kind of changed over the years a little bit. They want to do a little less and have the title companies do the closings, but they're still involved. They're still charging their fees. So KPSS is licensed in New Jersey. I have about 250 agents that are investors. So they bought shares in KPSS over the last 9 years, and they've received passive income. So I'm not sure. So Greg, are the agents on this call, are they new to KW, new agents, or new to the concept of passive income?
I think it's a blend, Bill. So since we're just rolling this out in Jersey City, I would just say talk about both aspects. Even though we don't have title yet, but we know it's going to be here soon, because I know everybody's itching to build that passive income stream. So
absolutely, okay, all right, that's good. That's a good starting point. So what I've noticed, and I've been dealing with Keller Williams for the last 17 years. So I have title companies in 10 different states. So we're from Alaska to Florida. So we cover the whole 9 yards. So what we do is we put these together. And if any of you have read the MREA book, the Millionaire Real Estate, they talk about creating wealth through passive income. So what are your opportunities to create revenue, right? You have your earned income, and then you may have retirement, may have a 401k, you have profit sharing through Keller Williams. So if you build up your downline, you have passive income. And then we created 2 different things. We created KPSS, which is a title company, and then we created Safeguard, which is a homeowners and auto company. So 2 separate companies, 2 different revenue streams, 2 different qualifications, and they both will allow you to invest once you get to certain points. So Mike has 1,700 agents in his offices right here, okay? So, and he has 2 title companies with a total of about 400 agents that are investors. So 400 out of the 1,700 have shares. The rest just don't qualify or choose not to participate. But most of them, once they get to that point, so what we're looking for KPSS is cappers. So you have to, do at least 3 million in business. Once you get to that point where you're doing 3 million in business and you've supported the title company, you then have buy-in options. All right. For Safeguard, which is the insurance company, you have to do at least 8 buyer sides in a 12-month period. So we would look, let's say we'd already been in business for a year plus with you guys, and you're all there. I would have this conversation, say, all right, let's look at 2020. What did you do? Well, I did 4 million in business. Okay, great. Did you use KPSS on all your buyers? Well, I tried, and the attorneys said no on this one, no on this one, but I had 10 buyer sides. I used it 7 times. I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. That's making an effort. All right, you did 4 million. You had 7 buyer sides or 7 titles that went through. I would, at that point, you would be eligible to buy shares. So you would buy 4 shares of KPSS, and it would be $450 a share. So this is your one capital investment. It's $1,800. You write a check and you're like, all right, great. Now I got passive income. So every quarter now for the rest of your Keller Williams career, you're going to get a dividend. So you make one-time $1,800 purchase, and then this year you might make $3,000 back off of that. So, or actually 4 shares would be $4,000. So you could double your money and over and over and over and over again. So it's very profitable. It's an easy financial decision. I have in KPSS and I had 400 agents. So all of these agents get it. You know, I have a grid that shows exactly what they paid and every dividend they've had over the last 8 years, some of them. So they've gotten their investment back, you know, 30, 40, 50 times over. Safeguard's a little different because it's purely buyer side driven. It's not production. So let's say we had the same conversation, you know, I did 4 million, I had 10 buyer sides. Well, how many did you refer to Safeguard? And you would say, hopefully all of them, because the act of giving a title is totally different than sending a referral to a home and auto company, right? If you're showing buyers houses and you finally land that contract and you say, hey, you got to get homeowners, right? You don't have a choice. Please talk to Sue and Joe, her husband. They're experts. You know, they're going to dig into your home, your auto, and make sure all your coverages are right, your premiums are right, and they're probably going to save you some money, which they do. So that's an easier conversation. So all you're doing is providing the introduction, whether they close with Safeguard or not, that has nothing to do with you. That's on them. It's just the introduction. So if you had 10 buyer sides and you sent them all to Sue, you would then be eligible to buy shares in Safeguard. So probably 3 shares, something like that. So they're $250 a share. So you're looking at a $750 investment that would potentially pay you $45,000, $50,000 back over the next 10 years. So these are easy decisions, right? I mean, I think everyone could raise their hand and say, if you're giving me a check for, you know, for $1,800 and I'm giving you back $40,000 over the next 10 years, that's a good financial investment, right? So we're not talking about, there's no risk and it's easy. So between Safeguard and the insurance over the next 10 years, you're talking maybe $75,000 coming back to you, and you wrote a check for like $2,800. So, and then my job is to monitor it. So I get reports each month that show how many buy sides you had, whether you used the title company, whether you used the insurance company, and I monitor that and make sure that everything's moving towards that offering. And then we have those conversations. And then once you buy in, the expectations are you use it every chance you get. There's no reason not to. We can't force you to do it. Like I said, there's going to be things that happen. Attorneys are going to say no. Buyers are going to say no. So, you know, our expectations are, you know, that for Safeguard, you're referring at least 90% of your buyers, and title, you know, we'd like to be somewhere in that 75, 80% range. So that's where we currently are. So we have a pretty good base of agents that we know we're going to go there. So, so exciting stuff, right? So that kind of gives you an idea. So for those agents that are new to the business, which I have conversations with every day, this is something to set your goals for, right? This is something to put on that board you have that might say, hey, what am I going to do for next year? What am I going to do the year after, right? Set those goals that, hey, I want to be at 3 million. I want to be at 10 buyer sides. So a year from now, if that's the case, you have a conversation with me and say, hey, I did it. You know, I use KPSS, I use Safeguard. I want that equity, you know? So the nice part about KPSS is, like, everyone knows we're still in this COVID pandemic. But fast forward, we'll go back last year, you know, when it hit in March, all of our offices are in Pennsylvania, except for Clinton. So we were shut down in Pennsylvania for 2 months. You could not sell real estate. Like, you weren't allowed to do open houses, nothing. Like, we were basically done. But the title company had so much cash built up and revenue that we were able to still provide dividends. So some of those agents didn't close a house for 3 months. But guess what? They had passive income set up. So they got a check from Safeguard. They got a check from KPSS, which might have made a difference to them paying their mortgage, you know, or paying their car payment or paying their bills. So that's how you create wealth. That's a difference between, you know, earning income and having that, you know, what do you have? You know, do you have rental properties? That's why they talk about owning real estate, right? You guys sell it, but do you own it? So if you have rental properties and you have title and you have insurance and you have profit sharing and you have 401k, you know, that's all separate from your earned income, which you control. And plus, I can talk about this forever, but once you get to the point where you have that passive income and you get those dividends each quarter, what are you doing with it? The agents that I deal with, and I have hundreds of them, we have these conversations. I'm like, I just gave you a check for $1,500. Hopefully you're not going out and buying Jimmy Choo's, right? You're taking that money and you're putting it in an investment fund that's going to earn 10% this year. So every quarter you're getting a check that you're going to put in, and it's going to pile on. So compound interest, there's nothing more powerful than that. So if you get to the point where you're taking this money and you set up a separate fund and you're depositing that money in there, that money's earning money. So not only you're getting multiple hundreds percent return on your investment, but if you're smart with that money, you're getting returns on that. And maybe use that money to, maybe use that money to buy an investment property, right? So I see so many things with these agents that blow me away of how much wealth they've built based off of that, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes months and years, but so right now we're still building the infrastructure for KPSS to handle your deals, because there's two, this office, and then there's another office in New Jersey that's going to be sending us stuff as well too. So right now in the title world where we are, because in that South Jersey, mid Jersey area, everyone's so busy, it's hard finding talent. So I don't want to open the floodgates for your orders until I have a couple processors on the back end. So we have some interview candidates. I think we're close. And once we have that, what we'll do is I'll communicate with Greg and say, hey, here, let's open the floodgates. You guys start telling your attorneys, I have a title company. This is who I want to use. We'll do a Zoom call, an introduction. I'll give you the whole staff, the closers, the processors, the openers. So we'll be prepared to give you all that. I know everyone's anxious. I am too. I hate not being able to ask for business. It drives me insane. But we're close. So once we have that, Greg, Renee, you guys will be the first to know and say, hey, here's our people, here's our organizational chart, your next deal, let's start putting it in. Greg, these should have been introduced to Sue and Joe already, right?
Yes. For the folks that have the right necessary qualifiers, we had an initial call.
Okay.
We're also going to have Sue on our team meeting call yesterday, guys. So you'll be able to meet her as well.
Okay. So yeah, so the safeguard you can use now. I mean, that's an easy one because your buyers, if they're a first-time home buyer, they don't know what homeowners insurance is, right? They have no idea. They might have renter's insurance. They know what auto is. So that's an easy one. If they're an existing homeowner and they're buying, it makes sense to talk to Sue because her husband worked for Chubb for 20 years. He wrote the policies. He was the guy who actually wrote that stuff. So for anyone on this call, you could talk to him as well too and say, hey, how do I should look at my own auto. I should look at my own homeowners just to make sense, because he can dig in and find loopholes and, hey, you're missing here, you're short here. So he usually boosts everyone's coverage and saves them a couple bucks, which makes everyone feel good. So you can use this as a care call as you're building your database. You can go back to past clients and say, hey, this company didn't exist to me 6 months ago. You should talk to them because you might have overpaid for both. And it's a pretty easy conversation. I switched my auto and I saved $30 a month, and I'm in, like I said, South Jersey. So not a big deal, but I'll take $360 a year. It's easy. I got more coverage and I pay less. Boom. That it was an easy call. So we have that. So you can get started with Sue and Joe anytime on yourself, friends, family, past customers. If you're just looking to pick up the phone, that was huge for us in March and April of last year because, everyone was confused. Hey, what do I do here? I want to lead generate. I want to pick up the phone. I want to make those care calls to my existing database. So this was a good reason, if you're looking for reasons to call, this is a good one to say, hey, Safeguard is a company that have 15 carriers. Let's talk to them and see if we can save a couple bucks. So do you guys have any questions for me? Yolanda, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So with the passive income, right? Is it possible where you could combine with other agents to split the shares, or is one-on-one? Because like you mentioned, you have to do 8 buyers in a month in order to qualify for
8
the
buyers a year.
12 months, a year. Mhm.
Okay.
So the 8 buyers, that means referring them to the title company or Safeguard or both, or,
Well, ideally, what we look at it as rolling 12 months. So let's say if we looked at 2020, or 2021, but 2021, we're in it right now. So from January to January, in order to qualify for either. So if you said, hey, I want to be part of Safeguard, you have to do 8 buyers for this year. So you can't combine with another agent. If you're on a team, you can look at buyers agents and all that. We can work with the team itself, but you have to do 8 buyer sides in this 12 months. So if you don't get there, you can do it next year, maybe, and build up. So I can't control that. That's the minimum that they set up. So you have to do at least 8 buyer sides this year to qualify to buy in next year.
okay, so let me just understand. So let's say, buyers, or could it be past clients who may want to switch over to Safeguard, or it has to be like
It has to be buyers. It has to be
first time
current
home
buyers.
buyers?
Right.
Okay.
Now, listen, eventually, if you're a shareholder, you want friends and family and everyone piling in their premiums because you're a stakeholder in it. But I can't use friends and families because I can't judge that because everyone has a different amount of people in their sphere. So we appreciate the business, we take it, we use it, but I can only judge it on what you do in actual Keller Williams business. So I look at your 8 buyer sides this year. Did you have 8? Did you send all 8 to Sue? We're good. Then you can buy.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bill, I just want to chime in on one more thing, just so everybody can understand the power behind this, right? So for everybody on the call, whether you've sold a house yet or you've got some deals under contract or you're just getting started, I really believe that everybody on this call is capable of selling at least 5 million, if not way more than that per year in real estate once you guys get going, okay? At a $5 million production level, as soon as you plug into the models and systems and you make the referrals, let's say you also help to attract a couple agents to the company. Through these 3 income streams, you guys can easily be at anywhere between like $12,000 to $16,000 a year in passive income. The key is you have to be intentional about it, and everything that Bill just said, plug in, ask the right questions, make the referrals, and everything just starts to happen. So I just hope that you guys take advantage of what's being made available here.
Yeah, and so, like I said, it's not everyone is going to be an investor. So,
Right. So with the I just want, so like you
Sure.
have a buyer, right? So they're about to close and you have information to refer them to Safeguard, or
Yep.
how does that, you do that at the closing? Like, how would I?
no, after attorney review.
Okay.
Yeah, Yolanda, I'll just tell you what the best process that we've seen to make sure that you get the best capture rate as well. As soon as you get the offer accepted, I would say to put an invite on your calendar, a reminder on your calendar for 7 to 10 days out, because more than likely in 7 to 10 days, you're going to be fully under contract. And then you just fire off the intro email to Sue, looping the client in together, and that gives her the best possibility to close it.
Okay, that's what I wanted to understand, the process. Okay.
Absolutely.
So this is Karen, Bill. I'm the broker of record, and we
Hey,
will
Karen.
be having Sue on. First part of April, we supposed to have her on today, but we everybody's schedules got conflict. But we'll have her on so that everybody understand that how to easily transfer their client, who she is, and how we can get our clients connected easily.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, the financial piece where you could be a potential investor is one thing, but controlling the deal is like what I see, like agents like Greg and his team there in Clinton and across the board. I have a lot of big producers that are investors. And what they like about this, the income is gravy. It's really controlling the deal, right? When you control the deal and you have your title company and your lender and your insurance and everything's lined up, it makes you be able to concentrate on other things, lead generating, selling homes, doing what you're supposed to do. You shouldn't have to worry about all that stuff on the back end. So if you have your A team set up and all they're going to make you look good, and you can focus on things that are going to generate money for you, right? So that's it. It's controlling the process. Those agents that I've talked to for the last 18 years, the ones that achieve on a very high level, control the deal, right? It's not optional. Like, hey, this is how I operate. This is why you chose me as your realtor because I'm the best, right? And I'm the best for a reason because I have all these people. So I vetted my title company, I vetted my lender, and I vetted my insurance agent. So they work for me. So when I introduce you and I give those referrals, you're going to be at the top of their list, and that makes you more effective. And then it's an easy sell. And the buyer's like, sure, I trust you. You're their financial advisor anyway, whether you like it or not. You're telling them all this stuff. Don't open credit cards. Don't do this. Don't do this. Sell that. Don't do that. Right. So you're giving them advice along the way. So they're looking for guidance, and it's a crazy market. It's difficult. So you're providing all these tools, and that allows them to and you to be successful because they're following your lead and saying, hey, sure, why wouldn't I? So it's an easy process. And once it's set up, you'll be off and running. So any other questions that you have?
Yeah, I want the 1,800. Do you pay that after the 8 buyers or upfront?
No. So once you get to, well, I was using 4 million, okay, as an example. Greg used 5, whatever. So we'll decide once you get to that point where you have that production, and it's a share per million. So if you get to 10 million at the end of this year, you're eligible for 10 shares. So you're writing a check for 4,500, right? And then your 4,500 turns into.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
So we worry about that once we get an idea of the support level. Can you use it? Can you influence attorneys to use the title company? And then at that point, then you buy the shares, and we'll look back. Some agents that I've talked to in Clinton, they wanted to wait. I said, all right, you can buy 4 million. You got buy 4 shares now. They're like, no way. I'm going to be at 10 million by the end of this year. I'd rather wait a year and buy 10 because those 10 shares are going to be worth a lot more money than 4. So you get one shot at it. So it's a matter of hitting your peak, and then taking advantage of that buy-in.
Got you.
Cool. All right. Well, it's being recorded, so feel free to pass this on. Hopefully you found this, educational.
Appreciate you taking the time, Bill.
Anytime.
All right, I
No,
got
it's
one more
good.
question. What's the max shares you can purchase?
Question. They've had a loose max of somewhere around 25-ish. It's just something like in that, because that's someone who's doing 25 million. So here's the problem, and it's good problem, bad problem, is that when you get to someone who's that big, can they control the deals? Like the team leader sitting out here, and I have a big team. Are you making your buyer's agents and your transaction coordinator all flow in order? So as long as it's happening and you can control the deals, I don't have a problem selling you more shares and getting to that 25 level. But, I'm looking for, if you did 25 million and your average sale price is 400, I'm looking for, 35 titles a year or something like that. If you can deliver that, that's great. I'd happy to sell you that. So it gets me a little nervous when you deal with agents who are all listing too, because we're only concerned about the buyers. So if you're a $25 million producer, but you're doing 90% listing, it's hard for me to sell you 25 shares because I'm only getting 8 or 9 title orders a year. So I have to try to find a way to balance that. So
if you qualify, say I qualify, let me just use me as an example. Say I met the 8 requirements for 8 buyers.
Yep.
And I made 6.5 in transactions for 2020.
Okay.
I'm eligible to buy 6 shares.
Yep. And that
I can't increase that.
Well, so here's the thing. RESPA is they don't want us selling you the RESPA attorneys. Here's where they come in. Okay. So let's say you bought 6 shares, right? And your 6 shares, I'm looking for, I don't know, 12, 13 title orders a year, something like that. There is a math equation in there. And next year you do 2 million, right? You just have a really bad year. I can't come to you and say, Karen, I need some of those shares back. You didn't have a great year. So had the shares back. So let's say you land a big condo project or something like that, and your volume goes up to 10 million, but then it's really not 10 million. It's just one big deal. Does it mean you get 4 more shares? Not necessarily. So I wouldn't have any conversations about additional purchasing until probably 2 to 3 years down the road, once you've shown consistent growth from that 6 million 8 million to really 12 million. So if you double your production, we'll have a conversation. But just because you go from 6 to 9 doesn't mean you get 3 more. Just like if you went from 6 to 3, I'm not taking away 3. So it's a balancing act, and I try to keep everyone right around the same level playing field.
Yeah, Karen, in that scenario, the best thing for us to do would be to really put a plan together so you crush it this year and finish at like 9 to 10 million, and then you buy in the next buy-in round in the beginning of 2022.
Yeah, I'm one of them heavy listening agents, Greg. So if
Yeah,
It's
that's
all
good
good
for
I'm
you.
gonna be at my highest from my numbers last year, it's a hard call.
I got
No.
you. We can work
And
on
I'm trying to hire a buyer agent.
that's the key. That's the key. So we can work on that.
Okay.
Right. So what we really need to do is we got to kind of let's get into business first. Let me get my staff together so that boom, you can start sending stuff over, and then we'll start monitoring it and see how it goes. And then we'll look at production, we'll look at figures, support, all that stuff. But so you're good to go for Safeguard. I just need a little bit more time for KPSS. And then trust me, as soon as we're ready, Greg, Renee, you guys, Karen, you all know, and then we can start taking orders.
Cool.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for being on the call.
Thanks for taking the time, Bill.
No problem. Good seeing you all.
Bill.
All right.
Thanks,
See ya.
Bill.
All right. You're welcome. Have a great day.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank you.